Livin Loud and Late.
What is going on, everyone? Thank you for tuning in tonight. Friday, we are doing a pretty cool topic today, and I got a special guest with us today, DJ from Ohio General Alternators, and he has his own company as well. He is the Alternator Guru. Thank you for joining. What's going on, DJ?
Not much. How you been?
Pretty good, pretty good. Yeah, me and you just finished the podcast on the Rolling Thunder. That was fun. Did the Scrap War, Base Wars, and you brought the broom and swept the competition.
Definitely did. I'm actually no longer working for Ohio Generator, but I'm happy to support them, and obviously with this and the T-shirt and everything like that, I'm happy to support them. They are the original gangsters of alternators.
OG for sure. That's crazy though, man. But hey, you know what? Whatever life brings you, you got to do what you got to do, and sometimes do your own thing and makes you happy. That's awesome, though, man. Let's see if we got any questions in here in the comments real fast. How to get to 14.4 volt. Start your car. Usually most cars do, but maybe DJ can answer on that question.
What type of vehicle is it? Because it might be one of them weird vehicles that don't get 14.4 volt, like Chryslers.
Right.
Chrysler's
it seems like
at
that's
like 13.8.
Yeah, is that with like the ECU, or is that like the voltage regulator of the car itself, or?
Yeah, the voltage regulator in the Chryslers is inside the ECU, and it's set to like 13.8, 13.9. You really can't bypass that or increase it without doing another voltage regulator
That's crazy.
inside the alternator.
Now, does that have something to do with like maybe fuel efficiency or just putting less wear on the alternator? Why do certain brands companies do that?
I think it's as far as I know is when I talked to an engineer about this stuff, he was explaining to me that it had to do with fuel efficiency and to and emission stuff. How true that is, I really don't know. But he acting like he knows this stuff.
That's crazy. I mean, they'd have to do it for a reason, and hey, who knows? But yeah, he says he has an '05 Ultima. I'm not too sure if that has a problem with that.
No, that's a computer. I believe that's computer controlled. So basically, the computer senses the battery level. So if it's fully charged, it'll only send, say 13.2 volts, or if it's low, it'll send higher voltage. If it's low to get the battery, to bring the battery back up. I have to look into it more, but I think that's what that is. They call it a PCM controller.
Yeah, my buddy's Todd. You know Todd.
Todd.
With the kicker system. Yeah, because he was having problems with that too. Like at idle, it would just drop down to like 13.1, 13.2, and then as soon as he gave it some gas, it would stay in that 14.4, 14.6 range.
But that's mainly because you can't put the biggest alternator on a vehicle and have it go. And yeah, I could build an alternator for a Ford Pinto.
I had to throw that up.
I can build an alternator for a Ford Pinto.
Yeah, it seems like you can build an alternator pretty much out of any car as long as you have like the casing, or how do you go about that?
Well, if it already comes in a Denso hairpin, you can make it work because it's already there. But if it doesn't come in that, you can mill out the factory case and basically make it morph into it, and then it'll work. But that's not the most reliable way. I don't do that. Ohio Generator does because he has a machine to properly. It's millimeters, so you can't be half a millimeter off. It doesn't work.
Right. That's crazy. I mean, yeah, with small increments like that, you almost want a machine to do that, so there's no error. You know what I mean? You don't want to mess something up.
Basically, what your alternator on your Eclipse has the same type of thing where he milled it out to make it work right.
That's crazy. I know it's like a Franken alternator because I know I couldn't just get that off of anybody, and they hooked me up with that, and I've had no problems with it since. Other than trying to run lithium, but there's a reason for that. Let's see, El Fuego in the house. How sick is Hi-Fi Vega? At least he made it to the chat. If you're feeling low on energy, I would suggest a Big 3 upgrade. I know a guy. Absolutely. Scott just picked one up, that Big 3 kit from him, and they seem really nice. I really want to get one for Kayla's car just because, representing Vega and stuff like that, and she needs one. But I've been dumping a lot of money into this dirt bike I got, so I got to watch what I do. And we got Christmas coming along the way, and Santa only buys so much, so you know how that goes.
Santa buys
What's up, Samuel? Yeah, they're nice because it's like it takes the labor out of it, and I'm sure he's making money for the time he's putting into it and buying the product. He's getting his name out there, and he's hooking people up because Big 3 kits are something a lot of people overlook, and
definitely.
Takes power to make power, and you don't want to bottleneck your system. And you know of anybody with making alternators, you need to get that power to that amplifier.
Because if you buy a high amp alternator, say a 300 amp alternator, and you don't put a Big 3 on it, it'll melt the factory cable right off.
Woo!
Like it'll melt the terminal right off.
Jeez.
Yeah, most anyways. Like if it's a 6 gauge, 8 gauge cable, even older cars have like a 12 gauge little ass cable.
Yeah, it's like I forget what that's called, but it's like a fuse or something like that.
Yeah.
Forget what it's called. But anyway, yeah, right. I know my buddy Andrew Smith. I think you met him a few times. He used to come out to the shows. His car had that, and I was like, oh, well, there's your problem. We need to get rid of that.
Put a little nail in the fuse holder.
Yeah. Let's see. Mark V. Kicker Q class is 1,000 RMS at 14.4 volts at 2 ohms. Two questions there. Yeah, it's 1,000 RMS. Actually, the Q class is 1,200 RMS for the 15, and 1,000 RMS. I think. I think it is 1,000 RMS for the 12. But the voltage really doesn't matter. What amount of power you're sending it. AC voltage is different than DC voltage. So you're going to see a little bit more than 14 volts. You're going to, depending the amplifier and your rise and stuff like that. But at 2 ohms, yeah, right. So you kind of got to wire it lower to see that kind of power. But if you run it at 2 ohms, you got to have an amplifier that's bigger to see that 1,000 RMS. But it all comes down to the build and everything else. And you really don't want to send it at 1,000 watts continuously. That's just, it's not going to handle it. But you know what I mean? Like clamping, full time, full tilt
Yeah,
boogie.
just 1,000 RMS. They're to take it
Right.
on the
right.
clamp. No,
Yep.
volume all the way.
I wish music was like that. You know what I mean? When you first got into car audio, you're like, oh yeah, I got 1,800 watts in this car, and it's like you thought you were getting that as soon as you turn that volume all the way up. But that's not always the case.
No.
Sometimes it's nice to be louder with less.
Actually, I think my first setup, I had a punched 150-25 to life on a Team Rockford that I got at a pawn shop, and I was like, oh, it's only 150 watts. Turns out the amp's like a 1,000-watt amp.
Woo! I know that's crazy. I mean, that's a lot of power. 2006. I mean, I know there were bigger amps, but still, that's definitely in the races. 14.4 volt talk presents Living Loud and Sound Advice on Mondays. I know I'm not going to miss the episode this time on Monday because there's no Steeler game, so I will see that. I was going to go on the Base Wars podcast. They do that at the same time. Kip even called me, and I felt kind of bad. I'm like, well, Kip, the only reason I'm not working today, because I usually work Mondays, is because I'm watching a Steeler game. And he was like, no, you know what? Forget it. You watch your Steeler game. I'm like, okay, sure. But yeah, I definitely want to see the sound advice this week. Let's see. Oh, Vega. On that emergency C right now. Vitamin C. That'll do it. That's all you really need. D4L and Andy. What's going on, Samuel? Thanks for joining the chat tonight. We got 15 people up in here.
15 people.
For, heck yeah. Let's see. I dynoed mine. What, the Rockford Fosgate amp?
Can the punch 150-25 to life?
Probably.
It's 1,000 RMS, isn't it? Or 1,200
I believe so. He wants to know what system you got.
So in my Jeep, I have my own 300 amp alternator. I have a DC Audio 5K and an old school MTX 9500 15-inch custom box 4 cubic foot to the 28. Then for mids and highs, I got some Rockford. I just changed them out. They're T5 components, custom doors and all that stuff. Not custom doors, but custom pods in the doors and stuff like that. Make them sound real good. And then a little tiny Alpine KTP 45, KTP 45, the little tiny one that's like this big, behind the radio, powering the doors.
Oh,
and
wow, that's nice.
Yep, and then a little what do they call that? It's a Rockford Fosgate sound processor, not the 360. Can't remember. It's not the 360. It's a smaller version of it. But I have that for a sound processor too, with all the time alignment and stuff like that, all the EQ done through that.
Jeez. So I mean, you got a 5,000 watt amp, but you're running SQ equipment. You know.
Well, it's
got to have that time alignment in a way, though. You know, you want your mids and highs to sound clear. You know, your bass play when the bass is supposed to play, and it never hurts to have a little bit of time alignment for, you know, to get a little bit more of that front end stage bass that you're lacking. You know what I mean? Because it all depends what you got, but it sounds like a nice system, man. I know I still need to see that one. I like DC too. The 5K. That's got what? Does that have dual inputs or is that single inputs?
The dual inputs. Actually, I only put that amp in to prove a point to people that you don't need a crap ton of batteries. You need current.
Yep.
So I have that DC 5K running on one excess power D6500 battery on my 300 amp alternator. And lowest I see is 13.8 on music. On a test tone, if you burp it on a test tone, it drops to like 13.2. But you know,
right, but that's just music, all battery, really. That's still all battery.
On music, it's holding 13.8 at the lowest, and it usually right around that 14 volt mode.
Right.
I just said that to prove a point to people, but you don't need 16 batteries, and that's it. You need a good battery that has a good wattage rating on it, not the amp power. Excess power gives 3,000 to 5,000 watt batteries. Give that, put it in there, and then have your alternator. That's all you need, and then it'll be perfectly fine.
Right, absolutely. What was I was gonna say something about the batteries and the alternator. Oh, my voltage. I thought my voltage was lower than it was. I was seeing like 13.4, like full tilt boogie clean, clamping like 2200 watts. And I thought that was low. Here my voltmeter is literally 0.5 off. I need a new voltmeter. There's something wrong because I literally meter it with a DMM and I'm seeing 14 at full tilt boogie. You know, I'm still not even dipping into the alt capacity. I was just, but it's almost better that way because it's like, well, you don't want to run it too hard. So even when I was probably clipping, I was still probably, you know, just the or the alternator power alone, and that JY was just helping to give it faster. That's all.
Yep. And those Ohio gens are no joke. I know
no.
When I worked there and when we tested them, they would do like 345, 350 on their test bench. It's a computerized test bench. I mean, it's like a $60,000 machine.
That's what he was saying. Yeah, he's got all the equipment and right. Yeah, because I think the one you guys gave me is 320. Yeah, 320 at like.
It's a 300 amp, but he rates them at 300 amp, but they'll peak around 330 to 340. He was gonna call him at 320, but then he said he's gonna underrate it to keep it safe.
Right. You want to give a little bit of headroom just so it's like, well, you said it was this, but it's more than you'll ever need. And even at idle, I'm getting over 200 amps of current, which is a lot more than my stock would do. We'll say that much.
Stock is like 85 amp.
It's 110, but yeah, how much are you actually getting out of that 110 for your system? Tech Fanatic, thank you for joining tonight. Kicker L7Q12 recommendation size of enclosure ported. That depends on the amount of power you're putting and maybe a little bit with tuning and the music and the space you got for your bass. It really comes down to it. I mean, you can literally go on to the Kicker website and they give a large and small recommended spec box for whatever you're kind of running. But honestly, in my opinion, for a 12, I don't know about the Qs per se. I know the L7Ss, 2.2 to 2.4 is like their sweet spot. Sealed or ported, it's gonna slam. You can put them in a little bit bigger, you can put them in a little bit smaller, but I feel like the 2.2 will do really good. You throw it on a 750 RMS amp. Well, this one's the Q, so maybe a little bit bigger, a nice 1000 RMS amp, and it's gonna sound really good. And maybe tune it like 36 hertz. You don't want to go too low. You can go 34, 32, but you might lose a little bit of output for that low end extension. But yeah, absolutely, man. Yeah, if you guys got any questions like that, but I really want to get to the point of the video where I try to keep topics. I like answering your guys' questions, but I want to talk about what is best. You know, we always hear people or see them online, mostly online, or sometimes in person too. You know, what's the best alternator? What's the best amp for my sub? What's the best sub for my amp? You know, what's the best way to wire this? You know, what's the best? And it's like, I hear that question a lot, but at the same time, it's like, I kind of hate that question, but it's like, you know what? I do the same thing with hobbies that I'm not a professional at, where it's like, okay, what's the best water conditioner for my fish tanks? Or what's the best two-stroke for my motorcycle? And there's still really no full answer for that. But it really comes down to, you know, the situation. What do you think, DJ?
I absolutely think that. Stuff that I look up all the time, like, you know, like you said, what's the best brake pads, for instance.
Right.
I have heard Cookie Monster. Very impressed. Very low. Very, very impressed. It sounds absolutely, and the speakers in the front, crisp. Very crisp.
You got to keep it like that. You got to, man. Got to hear the music while you feel it.
He played, I think it was like 18 or 20 hertz, and that thing was windy. For what it was, and how the sub was moving, I'm like, ah.
It takes a little bit, you know. That's why I gotta rebrace my box a little bit over the years of just giving it full tilt boogie, giving it to beans. That sub is moving a lot for what it is, and I enjoy it, you know. And that's kind of like where I was at, like, you know, what's the best way to build a box for the power that I have? Because I kind of look at it as a scenario, you know, and that's where it's like, well, I only have so much power. I want to play low, and it just happens to work out when you don't have a lot of power. You can play low, and you don't need as much power as long as you build big. And that's kind of what I did. So, absolutely, man, and thank you for that. But honestly, with the best, there are so many ways you can look at it, and a lot of it comes down to price. And another thing is, you have to pay to play sometimes, and if you cheap out, you might just be hurting yourself in the long run. But every situation's different. Let's see. Look, we got a lot of comments in here. Still got 18 people. We had about 20. Let's see here. Oh, Vega's got a dip. Thank you for tuning in, buddy. I'll see you next time, man. Hope you feel better. Andy, you're gonna love this question. What's the best blondes or brunettes? Man, if I answer that, I'm gonna get in trouble, and if I don't answer it, I'm probably still gonna get in trouble. Because Kayla, let's see here. She was blonde when I met her. She's actually a brunette, but now she's a brunette and going back to a blonde. So I don't really know. There is no good answer for that. What do you think, DJ?
Can't see that.
What's the best heat bulb for my birdie? Right, that's another thing. I need a heat bulb for my garter snake. Right, yeah.
You see here, if you go to Home Depot and you get the one that says Sylvania on it, that's the best one.
Sylvania, yeah. You know what? Isn't it? I think they're owned by Walmart, right, or something like that. I know they're a good lighting company for headlights.
Yeah, I think they might be owned by Walmart, or maybe it's someone else. I think so.
I know they sell their headlights at Walmart, Advanced Auto Parts and stuff like that, but they have the Sylvania. I have a Sylvania Bluetooth little boombox. You know me and boomboxes. $8. I couldn't pass it up. I'm like, oh, it looks like a JBL, Get Walmart brand.
Yeah.
What were you saying?
Walmart. There was a kid I went to school with, and there was a big lamp that teacher had on the one side of the classroom, and the one kid leaned up against it, and he had Sylvania burned into his arm from the light bulb.
Jesus.
I remember
for life. Oh wait. I don't know if they sell Walmart boomboxes there that are Sylvania, and it's like the Great Value Edition. I don't know.
I don't know. Edition.
It seems like every company owns every company anyway. You look at what is it? Comcast owns like half the world. And then there's Disney on the other side just laughing. You know what I mean? So there's that. But absolutely. Let's see if we got it. I skipped over a few comments here. Mark V. Best way to hook up dual amps. I think the best way is to have a distributor block. So you have like your main run for whatever size wire you need for like the length of the run, so that you're not, trying to do whatever, jam 0 gauge into spade connector amplifiers. And then you can run, a short distance of 8 gauge or 4 gauge. And so you can put a nice spade terminal on it to the amplifiers themselves. Because on a short run, you're really not going to need a 0 gauge run unless you're clamping over 6,000 watts over 2 feet. You know what I mean? Like, I really think you can get away with a lot. A lot of times when I do my amp dynos, I have 0 gauge coming out of my 100 amp power supply, but at the same time, it's only going 4 or 5 feet, and I'm not even pulling that much current, and the inputs are only 4 gauge. But I just did it just cause. But a lot of amps that I do, I use 8 gauge. You know what I mean? And unless it requires a 4 gauge, when it's a spade terminal amp, I'm using 8 gauge anyway, because it's only going literally a foot from the battery terminal, stuff like that. So let's see.
I didn't know if he meant like dual amp. I didn't know if he meant like dual amps, like 2 separate amps, or the brand dual.
Oh yeah, there's that too. I like dual. I like dual.
I do like dual too. They have a Walmart dual at it's like $22 for a head unit, and it's actually pretty decent.
Right. I mean, a lot of things with dual, you get what you pay for. I started out with them, obviously. Their head units, their subs. I never ran any of their amps, but anytime I was tuning one, I just wasn't really too impressed. I know that their newer amps do rated, and I bet you even the older ones did, but the sound quality maybe just wasn't there, or the expectations were too high for the amount of power, for the size of the amp, because I know they do have kind of bigger amps. They don't make full bridge dual amplifiers. So they're going to be on a little bit of the bigger side, and they might be AB. I'm not too sure if they're all D or not. I know the ones at Walmart, I think the what is it, the 1,000 watt? They have a 1,000 watt
Yeah.
4-channel and a 600 watt 2-channel. And I think those are both AB designs, but they're pretty small though. I'm not too sure. I think they have a cahoots with Jensen too, because Jensen makes the same amplifier, just with fancy lights and app-controlled gains and bass knob and frequencies and stuff like that.
Well, DS18 makes the similar, like a similar design amp too. Similar heat sink, similar everything. So I think they're just bought from some company in China. That's just like, there you go. Yep, good enough.
Right.
D-block.
It looks good. Let's see. 25 got a question. Does overgauge wire really make a difference? Says 0-aught OFC 4,700 strands versus 5,200 strands at 20 feet. I think with the strands, the main difference with that is flexibility. And then that also, with flexibility of how much insulation you have. And then, who knows, you might want more insulation. So in case, you know, something sharp gets at it, it's not going to go right to the wire. So there's stuff like that. But I think also with strands can be, what is it, like conductivity between the strands and maybe like soldering it or however you're connecting it. Because I know you can't just use, you know, house wire, you know, with like 3 big copper runs. I mean, it'll work, but how flexible is it and stuff like that? And then the insulation. I don't know. What do you think? Yes.
Well,
yes. My grandmother's lamp does not need to be in my car right now.
Well, from what I know is most 4,700 strands is OFC, and then a 5,200 strand are CCA wire. So I'll definitely stick with OFC wire. I mean, CCA is how you cheat yourself.
Right. Absolutely. I know Kicker did a nice video on that where they literally showed the difference, and it's like you would almost need 2 runs of the same CCA to equivalate close to it to the OFC, and then you're right back at the same price of that single OFC run. So it's like, why do they even do that? I don't know. Maybe it's just, you know, so people think that they're spending less and saving money. I'm not too sure on that.
That's probably, I mean, if you see it, it's all about the price. You see, you know, 50 foot of CCA wire. My capacitor was popping my rougher amp fuse.
That's just D4L, man. They just trolling. Just the capacitor. Capacitors are fun too, man. That's a whole nother rabbit hole we don't want to go down with capacitors. The flux capacitor.
My cat covered up her dump, and I took it.
That's those 14.4 volt guys, man. They're funny. Let's see. All right, cool.
All right, show's over. Let's go. End of stream.
Right, I'm just looking through the comments, see if I missed anything.
I gotcha.
Let's see. I know Matt. I don't know if Matt's still in here. So, older message. Do you measure your voltage at the amp? Yes, I don't even run it off the rear battery. I measure it at the amp. So maybe there is a voltage problem between my amplifier and the rear battery, because I am grounded on the freaking car underneath the seats, well, where they would be. So there is a different ground than the battery, but the battery showing a little bit higher voltage. It could be that, but then there's a problem with that. So I could go and test right at the amplifier where the voltmeter is connected. It could be a crappy voltage connection. It could be even the switch that I have where it's giving more resistance and the voltage isn't reading right. It could be a few things. It's been a setup that I kind of had for a long time, and I kind of cleaned it up, but I want to do it right. I want to have some nice dash panels where it's like switches, voltmeters, you know what I mean? Everything done real right. It looks good for what it is now, but I always want something a little bit nicer, you know what I mean?
Well, like you said, a lot of people don't understand this, but when you ground your amplifier directly to the battery, it's a lot less efficient than if you would have 2 separate grounds. So if you have your amp grounded to the frame and then the battery grounded to the frame, it's a lot more efficient connection that way. But
Right.
when I tested it, my voltage would drop to like 12.8, 12.6, and then I was like, I'm gonna put the ground on the amplifier onto the bottom instead of the battery. put it onto the body of the car, sand the paint real good and all that. And I'm 14 volt all day long.
Wow. So maybe I could try that instead of. But the only reason why I didn't want to do that was because I had the lithium, and I don't know if the ground inside is any kind of different than a battery, because I know AGMs have a very low internal resistance and stuff. So I don't. It was my first go with the lithium, and I didn't want to like destroy anything. But yeah, I know with a lot of systems, I just grounded the battery. Kayla's car amps are just grounded to the battery, like the positives that are coming out. So.
Well, if you think about it. Say you have a 3-foot run or ground from your battery to your ground of the vehicle, then another 3-foot run from the battery to the amplifier. That's 6 feet. The power travels through. When you can just have it 3 feet to the ground, that's 3 feet. So it's a better
what you're
connection.
saying. Wow.
It's a better connection.
I'm definitely gonna have to do that because I know I'm taking my box out this winter. I'm gonna rebrace it and stuff. So what I'll probably do is I'll lift out my floor and just extend my ground wire to the rear of the battery and see how that works out. And I could probably leave that ground there just cause, you know what I mean? So when I put it together, if I don't see a difference, hook it back up or just leave it how it is.
I think you misunderstood. I'm saying ground the amp separately from the battery. Don't ground the amp to the battery.
Oh, no, okay. Yeah, that's what I usually don't do. Well, I do with Kayla's car, but it's just because it's simpler. Instead of having one ground, everything going. Because I literally have a ground for the amp going to the chassis, and then the battery has one going to the chassis. I don't have an additional run going front to back though, but I have a unibody, so I don't know how much of a difference that makes or not.
It does make a difference with that. It charges a battery if you have a rear battery and a front battery, and they're connected together like this, like positive to positive, negative to negative, straight back. It does make a better connection that way. The alternator will maintain both batteries a lot better than just one positive.
I mean, it does make sense. I definitely want to try it. I did it whenever I was testing the alternator with the lithium by itself and the battery delete, and I did see a little bit of a gain there. But yeah, it just I kind of wanted to save the wire for Kayla's car, but definitely in the future for sure. I got a super chat here. David K. Thank you, buddy, man. I appreciate that for the super chat. David's the one who really pushes me to keep going on these lives and everything, and he enjoys it too, man. He was just joining in on the Rolling Thunder podcast. He's the guy that had the Rockford Fosgate amp and stuff we were talking about.
Yep.
CL Fuego. Missed the days where amps were rated at 12 volt and you got bonus power with a good electrical system. Right, I feel like that's how Kicker rates their bigger equipment. Now with like the DX line and maybe the CX line a little bit, they rated at 14.4. Because I know I tested their stuff when my voltage dropped. At certified, I wouldn't get power. At uncertified, I could get it. But when they rate amps, it's got to be certified at 1% THD. So.
Well, a lot of your amps are actually going back to that because what's been happening is everybody sees 15.8 volts on people's on YouTubes or the Facebooks, or somebody popular has a C-Max battery at 15.8 volt, and they're like, oh my god, I gotta run 15.8 volt too. And then they take their factory brand new car, say Honda, brand new Honda, and run it at 15.8 volt, and the whole computer shut off, everything shuts off. So
right, yeah, you're just gonna fry your stock electrical system, and that's why I know I do see people post that, and it's like, oh, my voltage. I'm like, so what? I mean, if your amplifier needs that high voltage, sure. Your lithium needs that high voltage, sure. It makes sense. But if you can have an amplifier that does the power at 12 volts and you're running a 14 volt system, if you have perfect electrical where your voltage is not budging, that means you need a bigger amp. You know what I mean?
Well, it's always going to budge. It's always going to budge at least 0.2 of a volt. It's never going to be 14.8. That's all you got. 14.8. It's always going to go 0.2.
Full tilt boogie. So what is the better way, ground to battery or body to the car? I think we went over that a little bit. Might have missed that.
Ground to the body of the car amplifier. That way, as I said before, it's only a 3-foot run and not 3 foot here then 3 foot there. It's 6 feet, not 3 feet. You got it right. Well, if you're it can happen. Like most boats, and like Corvettes are fiberglass. You can't
have no
ground
ground.
with fiberglass. You have no ground,
Yeah.
so you have to ground like a Corvette. You have to ground to the battery.
You could just get your anchor and then, ground it on the bottom of the seafloor and then just hook up your wire to that and then it's grounded, right? And then you can get
have
some
a big giant
free
spool.
fish. Yeah. Fish will just come floating up. Yeah.
Have a big
Who
giant
needs a fishing
spool
rod?
wired.
Yeah.
What are you doing? Reeling in the ground.
That's it. Okay, we got some more people joined in. Thank you for joining in, everyone. If you didn't know, this is DJ. I don't know why the names aren't below here. Let's see here. Oh,
there's my.
there you go. It's because I had the super chat on, or the the thing. Come on, man.
I know the thing.
Absolutely, but I mean, let's just get back to the subject again. The best is. I really do hate that, but it is a thing. It's a thing that we all want to know what's the best, and again with the price and what something pays. And then another thing is when prices seem to be a little bit too high, and it's like, well, I could go somewhere else and get that, but at the same time, maybe that company or that brand or that product has been a thing, and it's gained trust over the years, and now it's like, well, you're going to get a good product, and the name, we're going to put the price up higher because you're going to know that you're going to get a good product. And I feel like a lot of companies where, I'm not going to say any names, but, it is what it is. There's going to be new companies that come out, and their products are going to be, quote, close to the competitors that are priced higher, but yet nobody knows them. And so you don't really know for sure until you get the product if it's good or not, or if you heard from someone else. So the price can be lower, and it has to be lower. So you look at them before you look at the other one. So there's always that. So, right. It's tough to say that, one way or the other. And neither way.
Plus, a lot of these bigger companies, they put so much R&D into the equipment. I mean, it's say a big mainstream company, they'll put hundreds and hundreds and thousands of hours into testing one product, that they have out. When another company might just go to Alibaba and buy 500 woofers and not test one of them. It really just.
But for the price, if you get something that's a dud, you're not crying. You're not selling your house over it. But at the same time, you are getting at a discounted deal.
Exactly.
So. But yeah, I think the R&D is a big topic. You know what I mean? I heard people saying, oh, Kicker's toilet paper expenses are more than your R&D and your whatever. And it's funny, but at the same time, they are pretty crazy with their research and development. And that's why, their woofers are great. Same thing with JL, Rockford Fosgate, Alpine, all the big names, Sony, you know what I mean? Panasonic. I mean, Panasonic has gone down a little bit, with their products. But, I mean, they're not a subwoofer company. But just any company that you could spit off the top of your head, you see it out, you're usually going to get a good product. 9 chance out of 10. Now, if you go to Walmart, maybe not, because that's the reason why Kicker didn't even want to get into Walmart for the longest time, because they didn't want their products quality to drop to meet Walmart's expectations for their price. And that was the main thing, because I know they Vega and Derek did a 12-volt talk with Kip, and it was like, is it hip to be square? And it was the craziest thing when he brought up the Walmart, and he was like, literally, we don't want the dog or the tail wagging the dog. Literally, Walmart dictating a company to be like, hey, we want your price, we want this to be a lower price, so the quality has to be lower, but we're still going to sell it at the same price, or vice versa. You know what I mean? You just got to make cheaper crap so we make more money. And that was like the main thing. It's like, we don't want to lower our products, because like how Haro and other companies get into Walmart, sometimes they stay the same, sometimes they don't. But there's more examples than just that. way more.
I know.
Let's see.
There was a TV manufacturer. That did that. Might have been Toshiba. I can't remember. But they were making like really good TVs. Back in 2005, 2006. And then all of a sudden, nowadays it's like, that's kind of crap.
Right.
All because they started selling at Walmart, and they wanted to price, a $200 TV and not an $800 TV.
Right. Right.
Nice amp. That's a nice amp. Beautiful amps.
Yeah. Right, and that's the thing with the like I was saying, you don't really know the down for sound amplifiers. They just started. The down for sound batteries, they just started. I mean, obviously it's good stuff. They do rated and whatnot, and then longevity. You don't know because someone didn't have it for 4 years, and there was, you know what I mean. Maybe there was less research and development with it compared to other companies that charge more for the same power and the same specs and the same, you know, extra flashy stuff. But right. But good amp though. I like the 95s, 84s, all that kind of stuff, and they do rate it.
I think those down for sound amps are assembled in Florida. I'm almost positive they are assembled in Florida.
Probably, I'd have to talk to Jacob about that, but yeah, probably. I mean, it's all Chinese parts. Everything's Chinese parts, but you know, assembled here, over there, or whatever the situation is. But I don't know. I feel like Sundown has some R&D. I mean, I don't comparing it to Kicker. Yeah, that's easy. But Kicker's been around for 49, 48 years, so there's that. But I know that's why I was kind of like scratching my head whenever the Sundown ZV6 came out so fast, and then the L7X still wasn't even to the market or even being talked about that much. And I'm like, I really wonder how much they really do extra compared to other companies. But they already have a good, product, and they're just kind of building on top of it and making it better. They're not literally making something from scratch and taking 5 years just to build it and design it on a piece of paper and then bring it to life. It's a little bit different. What do you think on that?
I think absolutely true. Some of the ZV5s were out for like 4, maybe 5 years, and then the ZV6 came out. And I know it's a little bit bigger motor. I think the soft part's a little bit different too. But I know Jacob designs his own spiders, and he designed the Mega Roll Surround that Sundown uses, and his own cones too. So it's not like he just bought stuff off China. He actually designs his own stuff, and has his motors machined. He magnetizes the motors himself. I mean,
yeah, I seen that from Exo's video. That was pretty cool. How he does that.
Yeah, there's definitely Sundown is one of the out of the newer companies. It's probably one of the best. Oh yeah, for sure. They
definitely come a long way from. When did they start? Like 2008, 2009, or something like that?
They started 08, 09, building amplifier only with amplifiers, and then they didn't have subwoofers until like 2010, 2011.
That's like Kicker, but backwards. They only had subwoofers, then they started making amplifiers. Mm-hmm. All right, we got a question from D4L. Got to answer this. Orange or purple? What's your color, DJ?
They look the same.
That's right.
They look the same.
I'm gonna have to go with purple, but I love my orange too. That's a tough one. So, sometimes I almost want to turn this color to purple, but I'm like, that's not my theme. Can't do it. Got a question here. SJC audio guy. Okay, I was in need of a small footprint amp. Came across a Soundstream that does rated. I think that's the new Soundstream full bridge ones.
Yep.
Board is used in several brands. When I saw the manual, I saw the power could go from mini 9 volt to 16 volt. That might just have a capability of doing low voltage and not shutting off, but obviously it's going to do less power, most likely. Yeah, because I know Derek did a video on it, but I don't think it did rated. I really don't, because it put some big numbers on there. It did good power for the money you're spending on it and the footprint, but I don't think it did rated.
Well, I think they had that big giant, X wattage on the box, max. And then in the booklet it said pretty much peak power or max rated with no RMS. But I know the 3,000 watt, 6,000 watt, I guess is a 3,000 watt amp. Now it's not the same as most other full bridge, Chinese amps.
Right.
It's a little bit different. The quality is a little bit different. Just to have the price point lower. If you go compare it to an amp that looks similar, there's a reason why it's $150 or $200 more.
Jeez. Right. I mean, you get what you pay for. At the end of the day, with a lot of things.
Definitely. But Soundstream is a good brand. I mean,
Right, I know they make some, the Tarantula series. They make some big woofers too.
yeah, we have that team sound that team Soundstream off Soda Pop.
Yeah.
I got 3 of
Oh
those.
yeah. I forgot he had those. Those were the good
Yeah.
park impounders, but couldn't do much for the
Yeah.
SPL, at least for his application.
They're
I tried
pretty
telling
easy.
him that. Yeah, that's what I tried telling him. I was like, dude, you got all that surround, no cone area, and you're not built like that, and you're trying to peak at 43 hertz, and your whole car is made out of rhino liner and metal and wood, and it's not, it would have worked in maybe a different setup.
I need to have a little bit. He needs to have more of an SPL woofer, and it'd be like his setup he got now. It's pounded.
Right, and then whenever you look at just an SPL, we'll say subwoofer, they're not going to have much thermal handling for it to be efficient and stuff like that. And
No.
he's trying to clamp 60-some thousand watts on it, and go full tilt boogie and do his park and pound and give demos, and then burp it real hard to get a 61, 62, and
Wow.
you can only do so much. You know what I mean? You can't run and tie your shoe at the same time.
But he's definitely his build's one of the most unique builds. I'd say that. Very cool build.
Oh, for sure.
I like his build.
Absolutely. Let's see. I remember a good amp called Audio Gods. Those were some great amps. I wish I could get one today. I've never heard of those. Have you?
Do you mean the Hyphonics? The Hyphonics Power to the Gods amplifier?
It might be. That might be right. I'm not too sure on that one.
That's what it sounds like. The Hyphonics
Question for DJ: was the kicker cake fake?
kicker cake.
You didn't see that, did you?
Oh, on your Facebook that Caleb made you.
No,
It was
not that one. Not that one. I don't think 25 knows about that one. But they had a cake on Kicker Unmasked, and it was real. Okay, 25, it was real, and you're the one that asked for the cake, and he saw the comment, and now there was a Kicker cake. So you're welcome, 25, for that one. And it's real because I think Kip's face almost landed in it. Cardboard and frosting. Let's see.
Cardboard subwoofer boxes.
You saying Soundstream is good, then Tarantulas look dope, but really, I mean, right? This is almost like to the best. Is Soundstream the best, or the Tarantulas the best for their application, for how they're designed? And when you do it that way, yeah, they can be really good. I'm not saying they're bad. I'm not saying that they're the best. I'm not saying they're the worst. They could be better than what you got, but it depends your scenario, and it might be worse than what you got for another scenario. For our buddy Soda, it wasn't the best scenario. He upgraded to the Soundstreams, and he lost three or 4 dBs, man. Like it was only like a 57, 58. He was struggling, and from a 61, 62, and he was clamping a crap ton more power, and his score was lower. But that
Like
just really came down to
65,000
efficiency.
watts.
Yeah. So looks aren't everything. But then if you would take that same setup, maybe put it in a different vehicle, same enclosure, and then you would have it, maybe like the vehicle flexes more and it lets the woofers move more with the power and stuff like that. It might just gain from that, or it might lose. There's so many variables, but I feel like those woofers are really intended to be like in a 4th order or 6th order setup where they have a lot of compression on the back end. Give them a shit ton of power. You know what I mean? I'm like 3,000, 4,000 RMS because those got a 4-inch coil. And you put like 40 of them in your car. You know what I mean? And then you're really loud.
40 of them in a Geo Metro. Perfect.
Yes, I'm missing
And
the
a,
comment.
and a big V.
Yeah. That damn Geo, man. I got to put that belt on too. I wasn't too surprised that belt snapped, but at the same time, I'm like, damn, it's something else I got to do.
Rocky for it, dude.
I can't. Piscasso, Mark V. New Kicker Q class amp. Can you still tune with SMD? Absolutely. I mean, with the Q class, I don't think they have the distortion detection like the KX line does. But if you use the SMD DD1, you can test anything. Like you can even use the DD1 SMD, Steve Mead design, distortion detector while using the KX distortion detector amplifier, the one that's built in it. So with the Q class, I'm sure you can do the same thing. Now, if you're trying to, I don't know what you mean by that, maybe because I know they have some DSP processing in there, but I think that's after you set the gain, because the gain is literally only to match your pre-out voltage to the amplifier. That's all it's really for. You put that voltage, that gain up higher than the pre-out voltage, you're just taking that signal and then you're amplifying it where it's not supposed to be amplified, if that makes sense. And if your gain's too low, you're losing output that you could have, and you're going to have to turn up things just to make it sound louder in a way to catch up for that loss. So a gain is really just to match your pre-out voltage. End of story. Let's see here. What's a good gaming headset should I get? Kicker headphones. I mean, honestly, I've used these as without my microphone for like the first Kicker on Mass, and it worked really good. Obviously, you're not going to have that good sound like from your mouth that you would with a microphone that comes out in front of you, but they do the job. And I think they were on sale. I'm not too sure if they still are. They're usually $199, but when they go on sale, they're usually like $129. And even for that, that's really a good deal. I've had these for 2 years, and they're awesome. The battery life, it says 20 hours. It is 20 hours. I probably charge these maybe every 3 weeks. I work 3 to 4 days a week, and I'm listening to them 2 to 3 hours a day. So they last. I really like them. But for gaming headphones, I don't know. What about you, DJ? You got any idea on that? I'm not a big gamer.
Well, if you want, personally, I don't recommend you getting any type of gaming headphone, because what you're gonna want to do is you're gonna go at your desk and headphones on, and you're gonna want to play music too. So I don't recommend to get like a pair of Sennheiser HD 590s or HD 660s. Even the 6XX is a really good headphone by Sennheiser, and the 6XX is like $200.
Jeez. I mean, yeah, you, like anything else, you gotta pay to play, you know, and it all depends if you're a gamer that you're gaming 7 days a week, then I'm sure you're gonna want a nice pair of headphones. But if you're just, you know, freelancer, whenever the wife and kid are sleeping, kids, whatever your situation is, Kicker Cush headphones, they got because these are the noise canceling ones. They have regular that are noise canceling. Then they have the Tabor, which are the step down, and then they have even these ones. I was gonna do an unboxing on these, and these are just regular ones. These aren't even Bluetooth or nothing. It's literally like old school 3.5 jack. I got that for this as a backup. Because all my other Kicker headphones, I got the EB200s, and there's no aux jack for them. It's just Bluetooth, and I don't want to use Bluetooth on this. There's no way.
No,
So I needed something as a backup. Right. Let's see. Samuel Seal. Word, I've had razors. I like them. Currently, I have Skull Candy over here. I like the Skull Candies for the bass, and that's it. You know, I feel like the Skull Candies, that's where they do good.
Once you hear a good pair of headphones, you'll never want to go back to like these has PCX 552s. I like them for this type of thing, or going like this because it's Bluetooth and everything like that. But if I'm listening to music or something like that, I have a pair of Zeros for the win. I like that comment. Yahoo White Shoes is that?
White shoes? Nope, I failed. What's up, D4L though? Let's see.
White Shoes is.
This is an audio test. Nope, never heard of her.
Wait. No, it's the fitness grand pacer test. You were in school and they had that thing on a gym. The fitness grand pacer test.
I can't. Let's see. Skull Candy. Absolutely. Deviant. My Cush BT have not been charged since I won them, still going. Right, I know, that's how I was the first time like I ran mine. I'm like, wow, these things are still not dead, because you could like check out the percentage on your phone and stuff like that. And I'm like, wow, these things are really nice. Got more comments here. El Fuego got a dip. Thanks for the live stream. Thanks for tuning in, El Fuego. Sorry we weren't too entertaining tonight, but thank you for joining in, and I'll see you next time. Thank you, buddy. Are you playing a piano over there?
Yes, I am.
What song is that? It sounds like a popular song.
It is.
Yeah. What would I do? Beautiful. Beautiful.
I know, beautiful. I know. Everybody's like, he's not playing that.
I can't. Yeah, if you guys got any questions, throw them down in the chat. We still got like 11, 12 people in the chat. So thank you guys for hanging out. Yeah, if you got any questions about car audio or about what we talked about today, alternators, DJ's here now. So if you got any questions for him, drop them down below, and we'll go from there. Let's play Spice Girls. Can you play Spice Girls?
I don't know any Spice Girls songs.
You don't know one?
No, I don't know
25.
I don't know any Spice Girls songs.
It's okay, man. It's okay. It's okay. White shoes. This is hey. Yeah, it's Spice Girls. That's like, tell me what you want, what you really, really want. So tell me what you really want.
What you really want?
Yeah, you know that song. I wanna.
I want to do.
So you know a song. I knew you knew one. Heck yeah, man. Come on, guys. There's no other questions here. I know there's people hanging out. Come on, man. We got a couple more minutes, and then we'll cut it for the night and go chill out and hang out before the snow comes. I know the snow is coming. I don't know about anyone else watching. I know for me and DJ, we got some snow coming our way.
I can't wait to have the snow so I can drive up my driveway and kill myself. Because my driveway's all...
Donuts? Do some donuts, you mean?
No. That's how I wrecked.
I can't. Oh, thank you, Sam. That's humbling. That really is humbling, but I love Derek and Rob too, man. Their 12-volt talk is fun. Absolutely. Thank you, buddy. I try to keep communication with the people in the chat. I feel like that's really important, and a lot of people kind of skim over it because they want to get about what they're talking about, with their subject. I mean, we do it on the Rolling Thunder too, you know, and Kicker tries to do it as much as they can. And that's where I kind of feel like I like to connect with you guys, get your questions answered. I know my messenger is blowing up all the time. I literally had some guy ask me, his girlfriend asked me, can you help me sell these subwoofers? And they're like from New York and stuff. And it's like, just because they're kickers. It's crazy, man. So that's why I like doing this here. So if you got YouTube, you follow me and you want to get your questions answered, I try to answer the questions on my videos, but sometimes those videos aren't about your question. So that's kind of what we do here, and just hang out, you know what I mean? Talk about car audio and try not to side jag too much, because you know what I mean? Not everybody likes what we like, but we all like car audio, and that's why you're here.
Exactly, that's why people are here.
D4L, man. It's funny. We got a question. Question. Zero gauge from battery to capacitor, then to distributor block. So 0 gauge to amps or 4 gauge, 1000 watt amp and 500. Okay, so let me get this right. You got a 1000 watt amp for your bass, I'm guessing, 500 watt for your mids and highs. Hopefully that's the case. And then yes, you can use 0 gauge for your main run, just so you don't have to run into it down the road, and you're not going to run into any problems. 4 gauge gets away with a lot, but who knows how much power you're actually clamping. With the 1000 watt and 500 watt, you're not going to get 1500 watts. But at the most, I would say maybe 1200 on a good day, and everything less. So you could definitely get away with 4 gauge, but then you might have more voltage drop. And a voltage drop isn't good, and then you might be clipping earlier because your voltage isn't as good. So I would say at least with the 0 gauge, like how you were saying. And I mean, you can use a capacitor. It's not going to hurt you, but it's not really going to help you other than filter voltage spikes and give you a little bit maybe quicker power for dynamic dynamic pulses and stuff like that. Otherwise, and then right to the distributor block, and then to your amplifier. And then the 4 gauge to the 1000 watt, and if the 500 watt amp takes 4 gauge, then you can run that as well. But with a 500 watt amp, I doubt it has 4 gauge inputs or spades that are big enough for that to fit. But yeah, good question. Thank you, Mark. If you have any more questions on that answer, let me know. Feel the bass, and then feel the bass. Yeah, feel the bass 3 and 4. Feel the bass 4. 4. I grew up on 4. I didn't know there was any more, you know, and now it turns out there's like 7 or something like that.
Good old Magic Mike.
Yep, absolutely. Because I was looking it up on Spotify, and I'm like, this ain't it. It sounds like it, but it's not it. And then it's like, oh, there's a bunch of them. Andy, there's your thumbnail. That picture is so old. I think that was 2016 or 20. No. It was 2016 or 2017. Maybe it wasn't as old. It looked old. It was before I wore glasses. It's been a while. And yeah, I had this sub, and then the one that's in the car. No, it was these two actually. It was these two. It was these two because it was the Steve Irby one, which is the one I bought, and then the one that was blown. So that was 4 years ago, but the picture looks really, really old. But that's why I love the theme that I have here with the 2 Solo X's. Like, I always thought it was something cool, you know? Everyone said it, like, oh, put 2 Solo X18s in a flat wall in your car. Could totally do it, but at the same time, it's like, I need more power for that. Did anyone see that pressure garbage on Instagram? Gauge? Not too sure on that. Oh, God.
I have not seen a pressure gauge.
The single cab Tacoma with 4 8s in it. No, I didn't see that. Feel the bass 3. Hold on, I'm about to... Well, I don't want to play it because then I'm going to get a copyright strike. And no, you guys are going to get me in trouble. Stop it. I will find out. Next week, I will let you know. I'm pretty sure it's the 4, the one that I like. But I'll double check.
I have the original. So I have the original Feel the Bass, his CD with the dog on it, like from like '96, I think it was. Put that baby in. You can see it. You can hear the radio starting skipping. Because nothing back then was all high bass, so it was just
yeah.
Now it's the radio goes and it skips.
Yeah, no anti-skip in that, huh?
No anti-skip.
Yeah, I have Instagram. It's slow, low, and bumping. I never really changed it. I haven't changed my profile picture in 7 years either. But I do post on there. Usually just my next upload or something random about kicker or bass or something like that. But I do have Instagram. It's slow, low, bumping. I mean, maybe I could type that here. Hold on. Slow, low, and bumping. It used to be drifting and shifting. Yeah, slow, low, and bumping. I'll type it right here for you guys so you can find it. Slow, low, and bumping.
Is that the same thing for OnlyFans?
Absolutely. How'd you know? I can't. Earlier 90. He said earlier than 96. You found it? Awesome, man. Yeah, I don't go in there too much, but I try to post here and there, you know. Instagram's another social media tool that I use, but not as much. I really like using TikTok as like my fallback, where it's like I can try to post funny content that you guys like, and then I can also post my YouTube stuff for the meat and potatoes. You know, it's like, well, here's this. And I thought that was pretty cool because I posted just 3 minutes of my duel video. If you guys haven't seen that, go check my last upload I just posted yesterday. And I put on TikTok and it got like 4,000 views, 300 or 400 likes, which is pretty high for me just sitting there talking about YouTube stuff, which usually doesn't trend too well on TikTok. But you guys like that. But I like using that as a fallback because then there's people out there that are more beginners, and TikTok's it's a wider range of people compared to your Facebook or groups or Instagram or anything like YouTube. You know, it's different. So you get that. I like going live on there as well, but I didn't like having to use my iPhone. So otherwise, it's a good tool to use. Every social media platform has its niche, and there is no best social media either. There is no best.
Definitely
Powered by
MySpace.
Meta. MySpace, you know what? MySpace had its thing too, man. You know, the
It did.
background music, the cover photos you could put on your whole web page or whatever. That was the bee's knees, man.
Definitely was. I remember that. I remember
DJ, did you
MySpace.
get a haircut?
Sure did. Sure did. That's pretty nice. I know.
Oh, wow. He said the original one was from 88.
Really?
That's
I didn't
crazy.
think it was that old. Because I know the CD that I have is from like '96.
Still old. So a long time ago. I remember when I did the feel the bass. Whenever I first heard it and got it, yeah, that was illegally streamed from LimeWire. So
Oh yes.
yeah,
And you
that was a while
felt it.
ago.
And you were like, I feel it.
Oh man, that was the thing that you were playing because it's like there wasn't rebass. At least I didn't know about it. And unless you were playing a Millie or some rap song that the bass never stopped, and you played that over and over, you had that kind of music to play with. And my system was tuned like that. You know, I had sealed setups or like the prefab stuff, and it worked well. I play some of that stuff in my Cookie Monster, and it's not low enough, not at all. But
I
it
know
works.
the ones that I would go to back in the day was Cyclone by Baby Bash. I used to love that.
Oh yeah,
Boom,
that
boom.
that song pounds on every system, radio. I don't care what you got. It makes it sound good.
Or,
It really does.
Or Akon, I Wanna Love You.
Oh yeah.
There was
Oh, yeah. You got to play
another
the
word.
"I love you" for when your
Yes.
mom comes up. You know what's going on here. You know.
Yes. That actually drops to like I think when I tested that, I think it drops to like 26, 25.
It's definitely close, and I think there's a solid 33, and then probably like a little higher one in there too, like three bass notes, but still.
Yeah, but it's
absolutely.
still
I like
definitely
doing that too for
nice.
I was doing on TikTok and sitting there and doing it on the SPL lab playing the music and seeing the frequency. And then I tried doing that on YouTube too, and it kept flagging me, and I'm like, well, this is kind of dumb, but people want to know what frequencies do what. So that's cool.
Like Put On is the essential song of any system. You don't play Put On your system, then you don't have a system.
No.
Everybody wants to know that frequency. They're like, oh yeah, I hit the high, then the low, then the medium. I hit it all.
Yep.
And most people's
40,
systems
47, 41, 34, 26.
It's
bad I know that.
It's
bad
that
I know
26
that.
note comes on. When
Oh.
that 26 comes on,
Smack
you
it.
don't have anything. If you don't have something,
Yep. She gone. What's a subsonic filter for 500?
don't need that subsonic, turn it all the way off.
Absolutely. All right. Well, we did a whole hour show here, and if you have any final thoughts about anything, say your piece now, guys, or you, DJ, if you got anything to say to the people. But otherwise, it's been fun.
Yep. If people, if you need an alternator, you can message me and I'll give you a price
Absolutely.
on
What is it?
them.
DBZ.
High performance alternators. You can
Nice.
find it on Facebook or type in DBZ highperformancealternators.com or my website. However, there is a long wait time, about 6 weeks, about 6 weeks, because I am waiting on parts. Everything's on back order right now, which is kind of insane. And I don't have, $250,000 to spend on parts to have them advanced here to me.
Right. You got to build it.
And they buy all the parts.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah, you can't be sitting on a lot of product either. Someone wants something. All right, well, I'll get you something nice for a good price. Might be a little while, not too long, but we'll get it done right.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Reminiscing of Springer. What, Jerry Springer?
Yes. I thought he meant I'm Sprung by T-Pain.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yep.
Yeah, thank you, Samuel, for tuning in, buddy. Appreciate it.
Yep. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, D4L. 14.4 volt talk, guys. Heck yeah, man. Yeah, it's been a busy week, man. The streaming stuff, it's crazy, but I'm having fun and enjoying it, and everyone else is, and heck yeah. Let's see. All right, I think that's about it. Thank you guys for watching. DJ, again, thank you for joining the podcast tonight. I'll leave DJ's website in the comments on this video after it's done playing, so you guys can check out his website and his information and stuff like that. But otherwise, thank you guys for watching, and stay living loud, everyone. And I will see you next Friday. We'll be live after Rolling Thunder as always, and that's about it. So thank you guys for watching. We'll see you guys.
Andy McGill. Some of you out